Hello, my name is Nelly and I am an aspiring writer. So, hello, if you're new here, which you most definitely are because I'm new here, thank you for joining. Today we are going to be doing the author bucket list. So, because I'm an aspiring writer and not a current published writer, I am a writer right now, but I'm not a published writer. A lot of these things are just things that I can think of right now, which there aren't that many. There's like a few, but there aren't like a crazy ton. And I think a big part of that is because I haven't published yet, so I don't really know what all the big ideas are going to be until I get that book out. And that's probably going to be another year, but it's okay. I'm really excited. Yes, so let's get into it. I don't actually know who created this video, but I think it was Lindsey Puckett, and I'm going to try to link her video below, but I'm not positive if it was her. I think I just heard from somewhere that she was the one that made it, but whoever made it, thank you, and I'm just going to get into it. So for the longest time, I wanted to traditionally publish, mostly just because I didn't really know anything about the self-publishing world, so I didn't even think about it. Like, it wasn't even a consideration for me. But recently, like these past couple years, I've been getting more into the self-publishing world, and I love the idea of it because I am a control freak and I want to own everything I have. So it's really turned around from traditional publishing, not even hybrid. I'm like straight self-publishing because I love the idea of owning fully every single one of my books, because in traditional publishing, you sign the contract and technically the publishing house now owns your book. So my control freak ass cannot handle that, and we are going straight into self-publishing. So in light of that, my first bucket list goal is just to create my LLC / publish my first book. I'm doing that as / and not two separate ones because you can publish a book without an LLC, but I personally am not going to, so I can't publish my book without my LLC. So my first goal is to create my LLC and then publish my first book, which is definitely attainable. It's definitely going to happen. Don't know exactly when yet, but it's definitely going to be first quarter next year. So I just went from something that's completely attainable to the other spectrum of really hard to get to. Who knows how long it'll take to get there. This one will probably be on my list for years and years to come, but it's okay. So goal number 2 is to be on the New York Times bestseller list. I would also love to be USA Today, the Amazon list, all of them. But for some reason, New York Times is kind of stuck in my head, and that's the one I really want. So I think that's the one I'm going to keep on my goals list, but realistically, all of them are on my list. Number 3 is really close up to number 2, and that's to be on the Amazon categories list. So if you didn't know, on Amazon, and I'm pretty sure anywhere that you would sell, you categorize your book. So you would put paranormal romance, paranormal, witches, stuff like that, and you just categorize it. You probably don't go that in depth on Amazon, but in general, you do like paranormal romance and all of that. And so those are category wise, and you can become a bestseller within the category. So that's on my list because that's not really attainable, but it's a lot more attainable than being in the top 1,000 overall on Amazon, which would take a very long time, I feel like, to get there, but it's still on the list. But we're just gonna put category wise as number 3 because I feel like that's a little bit more attainable, and then once we get that, we'll switch it out for the top 1,000. So coming back to something that I can control, number 4 on the list is just to have all of the formats for my books. So that's ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook. This is something that is really attainable. It's just a matter of if I decide and when I decide to do them. So ebook and paperback are the easiest ones to get. You can do that just off of Amazon if you wanted to, or you can go to different sellers. Hardback, you kind of need Ingram Spark. If you don't have that, I think there's 1 or 2 other places you can do it, but you definitely need an Ingram Spark account in order to get hardback. And then audiobook is the one I know least about, but I think it's ACX, which is the Amazon specific audiobook company. I definitely plan on doing more research on that before I actually go into the audiobook route. But again, I'll probably, have a book published or two before I even go down audiobook. But it's definitely something that I think in a year and a half, 2 years, it could be attained. So number 5 is to have 100 reviews per book on Amazon. And I say this because 100 doesn't sound like a lot, and I never would have thought of it as a lot. But as an indie published author, it's so hard. And I know this because I've seen other indie published authors and their books, and in retrospect, they seem popular enough. But their books on Amazon still have like 60 reviews, 70 reviews, like not a crazy amount. So getting to 100 is probably a lot harder than, one would expect. Goodreads is a lot easier to get to, but Amazon is more helpful to the author because when you're buying a book, you're on Amazon, you're not on Goodreads. So it does make sense. So I just dropped my camera. That scared the living shit out of me. Getting back into it. Number 6 is to have my books in a library. And I have in parentheses specifically before everything was shut down, I was there every week, if not that, then every other. And so I kind of want my books in the Boston Library, but I mean in any library to start, but Boston Library is a like stretch goal. And I feel like it's attainable. I don't really know what it takes to get a book into a library, but I'll look into it. Don't you worry. So number 7 is the simple go on a writing retreat. This can be either by myself or with other writer friends, although I don't have writer friends right now, so that would be something I'd have to make first. But by myself as well, I think a little bit of both would be really fun, but that is definitely something I want to do. Again, something very attainable. Not right now, but soon, maybe in a year or two, I can just go on the one I have pictured in my head is kind of like a cabin or like one of those little cottages in the Cotswolds in England. That's what I have. That's what I have in the noggin. So on to number 8, and that's just to have fan art made for my books. Now, technically, the goal is to have art made for my books, which I could commission myself, but the real goal is to have fan art and just to have like someone really love one scene or the character so much that they're like, let's do this. Mind you, I feel like I write more guilty pleasure. That doesn't mean they can't make fan art for it, but I'm just saying. But I feel like that'd be so fun. Like, oh, that'd be so cute. I probably will commission art for it, but nothing says I love your book than spending your time drawing out the scene. Now, if you can't draw, that's a different story, but to those that can, nothing says it like picking out a scene that you really love or picking out the characters and really, showing your interpretation of it. Oh my god. Number 9 is to have constant average sales of $10 per day. Right now, that's gonna be $10. Eventually, when that is obviously happening, I'll move it up to like $100 a day kind of thing. But currently, in a year when I start publishing, I just love to have 10 constant sales every single day, which as a newbie author and especially as a indie published author, that's not easy at all. The thing is, 10 sounds so little, but if we can get constant sales, so if I can get every single day, I'm getting 10 sales a day, that's technically not that much money, but overall it'll start increasing. So you're getting 10 sales a day every single day. Eventually that'll go into like 100 sales a day every single day. But it's just, as an indie published author, you're already having a hard time with the whole marketing plan because you're by yourself trying to push it out to as many people as you can, and it's already so difficult. You like how I'm talking to you about this, like I've already done it. I know what I'm talking about. Can you hear the cops? They're so annoying. I don't actually know how hard it's gonna be until I do it. But I feel like because you don't really have an audience, you don't really have anything, it takes time to start building constant sales like that. Because you might have at the beginning a whopping amount of sales. amount of sales, or like at one point it might just spike. But I'm talking about like constant. I want like sales daily. Number 10 is to have an entire bookshelf of just my books, and that's one book each. So it's like not 5 copies of the same book, one copy of every single book, and just fill a whole bookshelf up with it. That is like a dream. And that I think equates to like 25 books. Obviously depending on how thick they are, but I feel like I could fit 25 to 30 books on a Billy bookshelf. I don't have them anymore because my books are all at home in Los Angeles, but I think I could fit like a good 25 books, maybe even more if they're a little bit thinner, but that's a lot of books. So that is a stretch goal, but again, very attainable. Definitely something that I can just manage on my own, and then eventually we'll get there. So number 11 is acting like I've already started this, because my number 11 goal is to grow my author newsletter to 5,000 people. I don't have an author newsletter. I don't know why I wrote that, like I already have one and I'm trying to grow it. I don't have one yet. I do plan on making one soon and putting it onto my website, but currently do not have one. But that is the eventual goal, to have it, raise it up to 5,000 people. So number 12 is not something I would have ever thought that I'd like to do, but that's to be on a book panel. And the reason I say this is because I never had any friends. I never had anyone that I could really talk to about books. So I got so used to not talking to people about books that when someone asks me something about a book, I'm like, I don't know what to say. Like, it doesn't matter how much I love the book, I'm not going to want to talk to you about it, because I've just gone so long of not talking to people about it, and like I'm so used to not talking to people about books. I'm just like used to internalizing it all, that if someone talks to me about a book, I'm like, I don't know how to answer that. So I never thought I'd want to do a book panel, but I feel like if it's for my own book, that might be a different story, because I'm kind of conceited, so I'd love to keep talking about myself. So I think that would be really, really fun. And finally, number 13. We only have number 13 again because I can't really think of any, because I haven't started publishing yet, so I don't really know. I'm sure I'll have more if I redid this in a year. But I also had to make it 13 because I like odd numbers, and so we had 12, so I had to add at least one more. And then I was watching, what's her name? Kate's book date, and her author bucket list. And I think it was her last one. She was talking about how she'd love to like travel somewhere that she's writing the book in and just stay there while she writes it. So it's like, if the book is set in like Tuscany, Italy, you're staying at a place in Tuscany, Italy, and you're writing the book while you're there. I love that idea. I would love to do that. I would probably start with London because I am absolutely obsessed with London, but I'd love to do that with pretty much anywhere. That sounds like a bucket list. So yeah, those were my 13 little bucket list ideas for being an author. 100% gonna have more. 100% some of these are gonna be done by next year. By some of these, I think like 2 of them. And we'll just be adding more. But I think this will be really fun to look back at and be like, yay, I've accomplished that. Still haven't accomplished that. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.